In this episode, I sit down and talk with Yossi Sirote. He's a licensed therapist, he's a rabbi, and he's like a billion other things. He does things outside of the box, my type of person. I hope you enjoy this episode. Let's go.
I remember when he made a fire for the first time without matches, and I was like, oh my God, my whole soul just changed. People close to me were mortified. They were just like, okay, this is so embarrassing. I cannot believe you went public with this. And like, you're embarrassing me. Do you really want to be that weird guy?
The Improv Therapist Podcast.
What's an improv therapist?
Shh. I don't know what I should call you with your title. I was looking over your bio and I was like, that could be a whole podcast on its own, just your bio. So what you're a therapist, you're a rabbi, you're like a farmer and a librarian or something.
Hello, Judah. Thanks for having me on your podcast, first of all.
Absolutely.
It's nice to be here. More importantly, it's nice to actually have a time to speak to you and have a conversation, which is so fun.
Yeah.
Yes, title. Oh, gosh. I see you have a title, The Improv Therapist.
Yes.
And then I was like, what should I put as my title? So first I'm like, should we just write not improv therapist? And then I was like, well, I don't know. What's my title? This is a problem. This is like, how much time do we have for this podcast and how much process can you help me with this?
I can do a lot in a short amount of time with this. I think I can. Well, because I know you for a long time and I know that you're a man of many things. And I'm going to get into some of that later. But let me ask you this. I'm going to jump right into this. What's like something that you're into right now, which is just like not a regular thing, which people would be into? And I'm asking you that not to embarrass you, but because I'm assuming, even though we haven't spoken in a few years, I'm assuming you got into like something recently that's like, oh, I met a guy who teaches this on top of this or something.
Okay, so good question. I don't know if I'm doing anything that exciting. Just something that makes me weird. Things basically we're asking what are the things that my teenagers are embarrassed of me every day right now. That's what you're asking me. Like that's really what it is. I think I have 2 girls and 1 boy that are teenagers, and this is it. So right now I'm actually trying to start to make a coal every single day, which is out of fire by friction, which is a fire without matches. It's matches. It's a current goal that I currently happen to have right now. Over the summer, I run a wilderness survival program called Yalozu. You've heard about it. We've talked about it before. I used to done it for many years. But after this past summer, in the fall, decided that I'm going to really work hard on getting what's called a coal. And every day, I try to spend a few minutes basically creating a fiery coal just from wood without any matches. And I practice this in the mornings. And this is one of my current morning routines right now is to get that coal out of different wood to make sure that I can start a fire without any matches. That happens to be something that I'm busy with. We can talk more about it. The other thing, and we'll come back to both, is literally today I'm trying to figure out how to get a minyan for Rosh Hashanah on a farm that I'm supposed to be spending Rosh Hashanah by. I'm supposed to go to Franklin Farms. And if we ever talk about Franklin Farms?
Sure, yeah.
So so Rafal Franklin, amazing dude, amazing person. So I was supposed to go up there for Shabbat, for Rosh Hashanah. We were supposed to spend our first Rosh Hashanah together up there. Mm-hmm. And last minute, the Satmar fellow that was supposed to be down for the Amud and coming with a whole group of guys is unfortunately probably not coming this year. So now I'm scrambling to figure that out. So if you ask me, what am I doing today that's weird, that's different than most regular people, I would say trying to find a minyan for a farm for Rosh Hashanah and making a coal every morning. I think those are good 2 starts, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of other things we can talk about. I don't even know. You can come to my house and I kind of like just do me, but you can join me. You can see what we're doing and see what happens.
Oh my God. That was exactly what I was hoping for when I asked that question. And I didn't even know the farm thing when I said I introduced you as a librarian and a farmer.
Yes.
So okay, great. This is what I wanted to know about. This is what I wanted to start with because, you know, over the last few years, I've, you know, taken a different direction in my career, right? We work together.
Really exciting to watch. It's so much more fun because you have these therapists that are boring and they're on podcasts and they're constantly, you know, either putting out material and all that. And they're all just like similar. Then you have Juda Alcabes. Are we going with Juda, Doctor? A doctor?
I'm going. Oh, Doctor.
Doctor. Sorry.
That felt good.
So then, and it's just like, and it's just so refreshing. It's so exciting. It's so different. It's really fun.
Well, I appreciate it, and I will say that one of the, somewhere in the back of my mind, because in the beginning of my career when I was working with you, you were one of my supervisors.
Yeah, that was fun.
That you were you were always kind of like in the back of my mind as like, that's a serious guy who doesn't take himself too seriously. And like I always liked that. I didn't know that I needed to do that or that I wanted to do that like back when, whatever that was, 10 years ago or so or more, 10 years
More,
ago. Um
more.
yeah, but honestly, like it's an inspiration. It was an inspiration to me. It still is an inspiration to me that like honestly, if I read out your credentials, people would be like, "Damn." But you're just a guy. You're like, you know what I mean? Because I can keep talking about that, but yes, that's the direction. The direction I've taken is new, and but it also aligns very much with who I am, and that's why I think I'm able to have fun with it. I'm able to really enjoy it. And you're like that too, and that was one of the things I really wanted to like get into a little bit is like, I don't know what your journey was like in like highlighting that stuff or bringing it to the surface. Obviously, you're like 1,000 years old now. So when you went to social work school, it was like you, Mary Richmond, like the originators of social work,
I think
right?
there was a
All
kid
that.
Sigmund in my class.
Who was in your class?
Someone Sigmund something
Sigmund.
from
Sigmund.
Vienna. Interesting
Yeah,
guy.
right. Yeah, interesting guy. I heard that. Anyways, I'm not
No,
gonna say what I was
that's
thinking.
interesting because when you're saying this, I'm thinking, like I didn't like create all these things on my page of my history of what I do. I think it's just I just kind of collected them over the
Mhm.
years. It's like, today I'm doing this, and like it was cool and it's great and it's fun and it's refreshing and it's interesting and different. And then, who knows what'll come next. I'm like, hey, let's try that. I think a lot of it just comes from my, I guess, interest in different things. And therefore, like when I'm doing something for a while, it's like, let's try something different, something fresh, something exciting. And then it kind of adds, if you're around long enough, it kind of adds to like your repertoire of things you've gotten into and what you've done. So I don't know if it's a good thing, but it definitely keeps me, changing things up every once in a while.
Well, I think it's interesting because this is something that I talk about a lot with helping, clients access their creativity and access their passion and their playful side and things like that. Is like your younger self knew what your soul liked because you gravitate to things when you're really young in a total unbridled way. And if you really think about it, the things that you're really passionate about now, either you're doing them or not doing them, but they're kind of the same, right? Like meaning that like I fell in love with music when I was 4 years old, right? And like it's not like I fell in love with music and then I grew out of it. It's like maybe my tastes have changed, my ideas about it have changed, right? um I really do believe that our younger self teaches us a lot if we can go back and like look at like what was that little kid like drawn to, right? And just to kind of like bolster that point a little bit in talking about you is I do remember one of the days when you were my supervisor that you told me you were taking a day off, but I shouldn't tell anybody where you're going. Do you remember this?
Supposed to tell. I don't remember, but where did I go? What was I doing? Oh gosh. Or
You
do I not want to know?
no, it's I don't know how you'll feel about this, but you told me that you met a guy.
No, right now, let's put it that way. What's coming next?
Yeah, this is my gotcha portion of
Go for it, man. Hit me.
No, you told me that you found a guy in somewhere in New Jersey who trains people how to make fire out of sticks, and that you
Yeah.
were doing a training early in the morning with him, like on top of a mountain.
See, there we go. So this is, and I was about to say, like you were saying before, like I remember when Zev Freundlich, I don't know if you know Zev Freundlich, but he does corporate trainings now all over the place. Very
Okay.
successful in the area. He started Yalozu together with me, or well, he started before and we joined together. Started Shari Arazim in Muncie. I remember when he made a fire for the first time without matches, and I was watching this, and I was like, "Oh my God, my whole soul just changed." It was a defining moment in my life, and to this day, you ask me, "What am I doing?" And this is still what I'm doing, and I've
Right.
done it many times. And here I am in the morning, still perfecting, trying to get it better, trying to like it's 100%. And I thought you were gonna say that we were pulling plants out of the sidewalk at the safe.
Oh, we're getting there.
Oh, okay, fine. So that's another one. But
No, we're getting there.
what you're talking about is fantastic. Yeah, there was a group called Primitive Skills. I believe they were called, up in Great Meadows, New Jersey, and there were two teachers, two mentors of mine there. One was a fellow, forgot his first name, and it was a woman from the Mennonites who also got into the wilderness stuff. And I went up there for the day. I spent the whole time with them, spending a lot of time learning about wilderness skills and fire by friction and shelters. And I ended up bringing them into Yalozu to meet with the boys and training them for a day. And that was definitely, and yeah, and I think you're right that the passions of your youth don't go far away from who you are as an adult. Because like even today, I'm still connected to them. I'm still feeling, I'm
Right.
still teaching, I'm still looking their stuff up. It's still in me. I can't shake it. Like it's a
Mhm.
big part of my soul. I was actually just having a conversation with Rebbe Fall Franklin on the phone. And he's the farmer who, we're talking about. And we were talking about me, which was nice. I don't get to do that often. And we were talking about like, what it means to impact lives as a therapist and to work with people who have trauma or have gone through something difficult in their lives. And at one point he said, it must be very powerful for you to be in that field, in that type of work.
Mhm.
And I said to him, I said, it is, but I feel that sometimes being out in the wilderness is even more powerful for me.
Yeah.
And he said to me, and this was pretty cool. He says, you may want to rethink exactly what you're doing every day.
Because he's saying
maybe
you
I
might
should
not
be
be able.
doing more wilderness, even though I do it in the
Oh.
summer. And I've always thought and tried to implement it during the year. But he was like, maybe you really should do more to figure out if there's a way to tap into your soul throughout the whole year.
That's so interesting. Yeah, it's so interesting because, with improv, right? So like, I can really actually recall early memories of something like improv being like way too exciting for me. Meaning, and I say way too exciting, like where like the other kids were like, yeah, the game is over. And I was like, no, let's keep doing it. Right. And I was like, I was all in like at a really, really young age. And I always loved the classroom, not as a kid, right? Not that classroom, but I always loved like group learning environments. I love energy. I love when people are like influencing each other and inspiring each other to do stuff, and back when I was working with you, I had two jobs, if you'll remember, right? I was a therapist for 2 days a week, and then I was doing the classroom stuff, like working with the schools and getting mental health programming going and things like that.
Yeah, sure.
Um, and I remember somebody was out of line in that work environment and gave me this advice, and I was really upset about it at the time. And now I'm like, he was out of line, but he was right. He was like, you get so much more excited with the school stuff than the therapist stuff. You should probably look into that. And I was like, ooh, man.
There you go.
And now I'm here being, yeah.
But it's true. It's a big part of it. It's a part of who, sometimes we get caught up not following our souls. And
Right.
It's a real shame. And, it's hard to be able to follow your soul and make a living.
Oh, yeah.
But like seeing you do improv and get into this, to me, it's like watching you evolve. It's so exciting for me because
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't know.
cool.
There's something about I like when people do things that are different, and I think it's
Yeah.
because it identifies them as an individual, and it's exciting to watch someone come into their world. And today in 2025, and in different communities that we're part of, like it's really sometimes hard to do that, and it's a beautiful
Yes.
thing when people find that. We
Yeah.
started in the summer this year. Aside from the wilderness, we started something called workshops, where we have the boys are getting a chance to do like auto mechanics, robotics, culinary, art, music, lifeguarding, first aid, CPR, all kinds of interesting, and they're finding things that their soul is connecting to. And
Yeah.
it's so beautiful to watch. They're just like, like they just go. It's like you don't have to discipline enough to tell them to go. They're there early. They're ready to go because they want to do this stuff. It's beautiful to
Yeah.
watch.
Honestly, yeah. And as you're saying that, and you're talking about, Rabbi Franklin asking you about, must be so fulfilling. I've had people say that to me, and it is very fulfilling in a lot of ways as a therapist. But when I really think about the moments where I feel like so fulfilled with the work that I've done, and there hasn't, I don't get to see this very often, but it's not necessarily that like, oh, they have a family now and like all that's great. And it's really exciting when I like run into somebody and they're like, But when I'm like, you're living your soul right now. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I took my daughter to a gymnastics place, and there was a former client of mine who did gymnastics when she was younger, went through, hell on earth with her addiction and everything like that. I finished treating her several years ago. From what I was hearing, is that she was doing great. I saw her at the gymnastics place, and she was like doing like jumps and stuff. And I was like, I'm going to give her space, because like I'm not, I don't want to like blow up. She came over to me and she was like, hey, oh my God, how you doing? And I'm like, I cannot believe I'm seeing you doing gymnastics. Like, we talked about that for hours, about how I used to feel so alive, but now I don't do it anymore and I can't do it anymore. And she was like, yeah, oh yeah, I have a day off and this is what I do. And I'm like, that's amazing.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because it's like you said, when I was back at the Safe Foundation with you and I took the day to go up to do it, it becomes like, well, what's more important? Should you be taking days off to
Right.
go to the woods, or should we be taking days off from the woods to make a little bit of money? Reminds me
Right.
of Chavetz Chaim, the great Chavetz Chaim years
Yeah.
ago as a rabbi, right? So he had a store, but it was not a store that was a business. It was just like when he stopped learning Torah, so then he would do a little bit just to make some money. It wasn't like
Right.
he was a businessman that was learning on the side. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, and this is the Franklin conversation again, like, who are you really? Like, what do you
Right.
really want to be? And what are you taking a break from?
Right. Right. So and that's what I really wanted to ask you about, because I came into like knowing you later in your story, right? I mean, like, when I was a kid, I remember you
I feel
being
like I did
around.
that too somehow.
What?
Said I feel like I also came into knowing me later in my story somehow.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, I think by the time that we were really knew each other, I think you were somewhat established in understanding like that this is me and this is my soul and this is what I should keep feeding. Obviously, with that evolving in a lot of different ways, because it's always a moving target. As you grow, it changes. So then you need to adapt so that you can grow again, and right, and then it changes again. But when you were younger, did this stuff like make sense to you, and did you feel comfortable with it, or did you chase a bunch of ghosts and like end up in the middle of nowhere and be like, wait a minute, this is not me, and then miss the mark and review it, and or was this kind of like, no, this is my thing, and if somebody doesn't like it, like, I don't know.
So
Oh
I think
well.
what I think when I was younger, for me it was definitely there in the fact that, like you saw, I was already doing my thing. I mean, you saw me later on, but even when I was first discovering it, I'm in a very I was in a pretty, not insular, but a pretty structured community, right? And we're dealing with expectations of where you're supposed to go when you get older and where you're going next. And the kind of things that I was into and that we're into are just, they're not so celebrated.
Right.
So it was more of like, you want to do that? Fine. You can find like a few hours on a Friday afternoon to do that weird stuff, go do that. But
Right.
but come on, be normal the rest of the time. It's like we're saying now, it's like we're trying to be regular people, and then what is Sirote doing that's weird today, right? It's like even
Right.
our beginning of our conversation was like, what are you into now that's different? But half the
Right.
world would say, or more than half of our world would say, okay, you're a weirdo. Why are you
Right.
making calls in the morning and going to a farm for Rosh Hashanah? What's wrong with you?
100%.
So I
And
think
meanwhile, I'm thinking, should I start making calls in my
when I start doing improv, you can start doing calls in the morning. By the way, I taught drama for many years.
that's what I'm saying.
I taught drama for many, many years in Camp Magen Avraham. I was the drama head. I even went to a camp called Stage Door Manor to get them to, which is it's an entire performance camp nearby. I didn't go there as an attendee. I went there to have them come down to fix up our stage, because they were like the gurus of plays and stages. So I was a drama guy for a long time. I spent a
Of
lot of
course
time.
you were. Of course you were. I remember asking you 10 years ago, because you said like some other part of your life. I'm like, how old are you? Because you can't live that many lives and be like, yeah, I'm like 40. I'm like, no, you're not.
So I am older than 40 today. But but I've always I guess I was never held down to one thing. I think that's what so I was saying earlier. I think in the earlier years, when you're doing these things, you look at yourself as a little bit of a strange dude.
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, I'm a little weird, but people who love me still love me anyway. And people who appreciate me and celebrate me, those who ended up becoming the people that are mentors in my life, or people that I feel really became into my closest circles.
Yeah.
And then as time goes on, you look at the rest of the world and you're like, wait a minute, I think I got so much over everyone else. People who
Right.
don't do this on the side, they're so lame. And you start
Right.
to look at yourself and you're like, wait a minute. Okay, maybe they're not lame, maybe that's just them and they don't need this extra stuff. And you kind of evolve in your whole perspective on what all this means to you and to everybody else. But to answer your question, I would say, I think as a younger person, I didn't carry it with such pride.
Oh,
And I was
yeah.
more stuck in what I would call my teenagers, where
Yeah.
they're like, they once did an article about me in the Mishpacha magazine.
Okay.
It was like a 6-page color photo shoot on me teaching one of the Mishpacha writers about edible plants in Prospect Park.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is
I
like
vaguely remember this. Yeah. Okay.
people who told me in my life that, one day you're going to be something great. You're going to be famous. And they didn't believe, a lot of people, they were like, oh, but this is not this is not what we had in mind. It's like, this wasn't like the goal. So, and it's true, it's because like, it wasn't even my goal, but the reaction that people had to that magazine article told me a lot about who they were. Some people close to me were mortified.
Right.
They were just like, okay, this is so embarrassing. I cannot believe you went public with this. And like, you're embarrassing me and your friends.
People said that to you outright. People said that I can't believe you did this and it's embarrassing.
They didn't say it that way, but I knew that
they weren't hiding that. That's what they really believed.
It was very obvious that this was something they were not proud to be associated with.
Wow.
Right? It's because it's like weird. It's like, why do you really want to be that weird guy? And these are guys in yeshiva with me, people in my family, people that, that they were friends. They are friends, right, but they can't handle that kind of like, get out there and see what happens in the world. Like, stop like hiding so much and try.
Right.
So, and then there were people who were so excited by it. And then there were people interested in it. And people were like, and there's all kinds of reactions. And I imagine with you, it's probably the same. It's like improv, like just be a regular therapist.
Yeah.
Like stop with all the shenanigans, settle down and just be regular. And I imagine you have the same response. And the people who can really appreciate the part of you that really understand the soul and how important it is to be unique and to bring your little piece of the world into the rest of the world, those are the people that I really feel so much more impressed with and close to and want them in my life.
Yeah.
Like even you right now, this conversation, right? You're telling me that I can't believe when we were working at the Safe Foundation together, there was this guy Sirote who took a day off to go up to the woods. And like, so but part of why you and I are talking today is because that's exciting for you to hear.
Yes.
It means you're one of the people that celebrates this.
Yes.
And that's something that you feel is so amazing. And that makes me feel like I'm not a freak and that I'm something unique and I'm something special. Now let's go deeper. Take that to your clients, right? Client walks into your office, right? So you could be a great therapist, the best therapist in the world. You could be the top, most trained by 1,000 letters after your name, which I don't even know half these letters anymore. I graduated from Fordham University in 2001. There weren't so many letters you could get after your name that people get.
They didn't invent all the letters yet.
Right. It was just
the alphabet was like 16 letters. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but like now even the most letters, most trained, but when that guy walks into your office or that girl walks into your office, if you view them as just another, textbook case that you have to figure out, and even if you're brilliant and get through, it's only going to have a certain impact.
Yeah.
If they come in there and they talk to you and start sharing what's unique about them, whether it's their exciting things that they're into or the struggles that they're into,
right?
They feel that energy from you that you think they're so different, so unique, and so interesting.
Yeah.
They immediately are going to feel that powerful surge. And that's so powerful when it comes to healing and when it comes to talking and influencing other people around you. So when you talk about a guy who's an improv therapist, there's no doubt that he can celebrate when when your clients come into that room, you see them and you're like, dude, I'm different too. I have my stuff, but let's celebrate it. Let's not be ashamed of it. And that I think is such a powerful tool, but I'm talking way too much. You're supposed to be asking me.
No, I'm getting inspired and you're giving me juice for my next like 100 appointments. No, but 100%. I mean, I think we do that for each other when we're living with that. I want to say authenticity, even though that word is like a curse word in my mind at this point, because it's like, what do you mean by that?
What does
Whatever.
authenticity even mean
Right.
today?
No, but like that alignment with your soul stuff, right? Because there's a reason why I remember these things from 10 years ago with you. And I don't know how much I really thought about it relating to me at the time. I know I didn't have the reaction of like, oh, he's unprofessional, and really that meaning that's like a reflection of like my own hatred for myself kind of thing. Like I didn't have that. I know I didn't have that. I think I was kind of like, well, that's Yossi. He's a quirky dude. He starts fires, whatever, you
But
know?
you also weren't like, hey, that's weird.
Right, right. Because I think there was a part of me that was like, can you do that?
Right.
Wait a minute.
In your mind, it was more like we teach in social work school, right? To our students, it's like, be curious.
Yeah,
Be really curious. Oh, that's interesting. Whoa, okay,
yeah,
he's different. He's unique. Not like, oh,
yeah.
weirdo, stop, don't hang out with him anymore,
Right,
right?
right. No,
And
not at all.
it's a
And
big difference.
yeah,
That's
and
why we're still
I think it's
talking.
what is that?
That's why we're still talking. Because if you had been that weirdo, I wouldn't even be in your life anymore.
100%, 100%. And if you would have thought that about me, you would be like, all right, he was off the rails before, but now he's really off the rails. So good luck to that guy, right?
And it's just so fun. It's also so exciting when you see people like doing something different and something unique. It's just it's so your eyes light up. It's like
Yeah.
it's so you go through I just learned about WhatsApp statuses. I'm still old,
Okay.
and I'm trying to like understand. I posted a few statuses for the first time this year in my life, which was really
Oh,
big. Most about
congratulations.
Yossi in the wilderness because I was pushed to do it. But
Sure.
like when I go through statuses now, which once you get addicted, once you find your addiction, you just can go for years. So, but then I get to Juda Alcabes and I'm like, okay, it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. And it's like, it's so refreshing. It's really something cool.
That's it means a lot. The thing, like as a side point, the thing with like posting stuff online, especially because I'm in Boca and I don't like run into a lot of the people who are watching my stuff. Meaning, because a lot of people in the tri-state area watch my stuff. I don't get like sometimes I'll work hours on a video or something and I'll post it and I'll have no idea if anybody liked it or if anybody watched it or if
Did
anybody
it go
anything.
through? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I have a
Like I'm
client.
like
I have
all
a,
excited. Yeah.
he is always late to my session, no matter what. So, and sometimes it could be like too late, like 20,
Mhm.
10, 20, 30 minutes every time. And I
Right.
can't control myself. I go back to make sure that the email went through and did I send it? Like, did it actually go? Because it's always
Right.
it's like, well, is he really again, like totally not coming? Like
Right.
your brain says it's me. And
Right.
it's not. It's like I sent it out there. We'll see what happens. So it's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, but I really appreciate when somebody's like, oh, I was watching your this or whatever, because otherwise I'm kind of like sitting here in my office in Florida trying to come up with my next crazy idea, just because I'm like the last one didn't do anything, so I got to come up with another crazy one. But somebody told me that him and his wife watch, they get together and they watch my statuses at night, and I was like, oh, that means a lot. That's beautiful. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fun.
That is nice. But you were saying, oh, so inspiration wise, right? Like, I think that, well, because like this, right? Like, I think you kind of mentioned the phase in the middle where you're like, I'm cooler than everybody because other people are not doing this cool stuff. And
Yeah.
then and the way that I heard it, and you can tell me if I'm right about this, is you were kind of like, and then you grow out of that phase, and then you kind of like enter a new phase where you're like, other people are different. And I don't know if what you mean by that is other people maybe didn't arrive at some sort of alignment yet, or if some other people are just like, I don't know, they don't need this kind of stuff. But I find that to be very interesting because my mindset is everybody is a giant dork. They just have to know what to be a dork
That's
about,
me
and they
and
have
you
to
and
embrace
nobody
it.
else.
What?
It's really just me and you that are the giant dork.
Right. I'm totally projecting this on all my clients. It's just a big projection. But
So
meaning like because I ask people, I say, what's the thing that you could start talking about and not realize that the people are not listening anymore, but you keep going? Like, I want to know what that thing is because that's your thing, whatever it is. And it could be buttons for all I care. But when you feel that, And so is that what you kind of meant when you were like that phase there where you're like, yeah.
So I'd say there's two things. I would say there's two different parts to it. One is what you're saying, that like everyone has something, and we're so cool that we found it, so to speak, and like we wish upon the rest of the world that
Yes.
like they also can find their thing, and like they
Yes.
can get so deeply connected to something so powerful for their soul, and to kind of wake them up and have them share that with the world, or even share with themselves and the people around them, whatever they feel will empower them. So
Mhm.
I think that is true, and I think that's, you know, something that's beautiful. But I do think that there's another element here, is that you and I and others like us have that type of soul that even
Mm.
appreciates and celebrates this.
Right.
And there are going to be people who are different than us that do not and
Yeah.
don't need, like you were saying also, don't need that. So you look upon you, you say to them, hey, well, you're a loser. You're the giant dork. You're the guy who's thinks you're so cool because you think I'm weird and you can't understand where I'm coming from with my wilderness or my whatever I'm doing today, right? So you don't get it. But really, in his world, he doesn't need it. There are
Right.
people, believe it or not, that don't have to find something specifically unique, that they have to like become so different. Now, I do
Right.
think everyone needs to find their unique part of their soul, and I think that's going to
Mhm.
be very hard to avoid. But it
So
doesn't
that's
have to
interesting
look
because yeah.
so exotic or so different or so.
Right.
They could still fit into this world that they can call, you know, normal,
Right.
and not be so different. And I think that we have to be a little careful about assuming
Yeah.
that, oh, we're so much. That's what I was saying. You go into this space where you look around, you're like, oh my god, I'm cooler than everybody else,
Right.
and then you're like, wait a minute, maybe I need this more than maybe somebody else, and
Yeah.
therefore I
Yeah.
might happen to be cooler than everybody else, but it
Right.
doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's lacking something else.
Yes, 100%. Because I think that I think that, and you can probably attest to this, but 10 years ago, I wanted to be unique, but I wanted everyone to see me as unique.
Wow. Okay, so there we go.
Yeah, and that's different than just being unique, right?
Correct.
Because that's almost me saying like, you guys are missing it. I'm cool, and you guys should be as cool as I am,
Right.
right? And
Or you're saying now, and you guys should recognize how cool I am.
yeah, yeah.
Those thoughts are not healthy. Those
Right,
thoughts.
that's not the feeling I get when I, like, crush an improv scene. That's nothing to do with that. That's a
I'll tell you
wound.
the
That's
truth. If you
yeah.
think about it, just this book just came out in the Jewish world yesterday or 2 days, a week ago, on Ronnie Greenwald.
Oh, okay.
Right now, Ronnie Greenwald, he was the guy who was the hostage negotiator and did all that crazy stuff. Started a camp, but he was the guy who also didn't need to be cool or recognize being cool.
Right.
Meaning,
Right.
that's what I'm talking about. It's like that personality of the person who has matured beyond his own coolness, where
Right.
like just like he's just so comfortable. He gets it. He gets that he needs it. He gets that
Right.
other people don't need it. It's that wisdom that we both went to Chavetz Chaim. You know Rabbi Tropper.
Yes, I
Remember
love Robert
Tropper
Dapper.
Old Shalom Zichron
Yes.
Livracha? So, like when I think of, imagine if you were to share information like this with a personality like Rabbi Tropper Zichron.
Yeah.
He would
Yeah.
be like, okay, it's beautiful. I like that you're so into this, it's so unique. But like, he also like understands that like it doesn't have to be. It's like
Right.
there's this wisdom that comes with experience and age.
Yeah.
That even though we're tapping into something so powerful and so exciting for most people, for a lot of people, for what could be a lot of people, there is also that wisdom of, okay, it's not everything. It's not
Right.
everyone, it's not everything, and it doesn't have to be.
Right. Right. No, 100%. You reminded me when you were talking about, my uncle was once like, he was just talking himself up, like, back in the day kind of talks, how he was amazing at everything. And my aunt turned to him and said, people who are cool don't say that they're cool. For example, you don't see me saying that I'm cool.
That's great.
And she didn't even realize it was just such a beautiful moment. It was amazing.
That's a legendary moment. Oh gosh.
So
Truth.
so yeah, well, okay. I think that, but I do think that everybody needs to like appreciate a passionate part of them, right? Like maybe you're passionate about something that is like not unique and interesting, but I kind of think
Oh,
like,
yeah, and you bring
yeah,
that back up. I wanted to follow up on that
yeah,
point
go ahead.
earlier. One last point.
Yeah,
As I said, there's two ways to look at it. That people don't need it as much as us, but then there are the opposite. There are people who do need this, have this unique part about them, but are unfortunately burying it and not celebrating enough, and that's damaging.
Yes.
So that's what I was going to say before. That's important to clarify, because
Yes.
there are definitely people who don't need it as much, and they're not our type of personality, or they're not the type of personality that needs to find this uniqueness or this particular, soul pulling, individuality. But there are many people, and I would say probably more than the ones that have nothing and don't need this. There are many people in the category of normal, not weird, that are really hiding and avoiding letting out their inner part of their soul and what makes them unique. And that,
Yeah.
I think, is a shame. That's
Yeah.
something to focus on.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that that's like, people like to say like that this is the epidemic of our times, but like they just like to say the thing that they're into.
Well, I'm glad we found the real one.
Right, we found the one. We just found it. But I think that it's a big issue because of the fact that like, we can have passive lives now, right? Like I don't know, hundreds of years ago, like you're fighting for your life and trying to find an animal to kill or whatever. Basically, you were Yossi
Hundreds of years
Sirote.
ago, that was yesterday.
Yeah, right. Whether you liked it or not, and whether there were serious downsides to life, like you definitely weren't someone who wasn't living. You lived with a sense of like urgency and passion, so to speak. You had to, right? That doesn't mean you liked what you did. Doesn't mean you were mentally healthy, all that kind of stuff. But like the fact that we can be like sheltered, have running water and all that kind of stuff, and then we can just numb out at the end of the day, I think makes a lot of people like just ignore this whole part of like, I got to go out and search for something, right? Because the search is it's painful, it's upsetting, it's out of the norm. It's like, why are you doing this? It's not as comfortable as like going to something quick, which is guaranteed to give me some sort of relief or whatever. And this is something that I wanted to ask you about specifically is you're treating you treat a lot of men like around my age, right? Like 30s, 40s, things like that.
Yeah.
Are you seeing this as an issue? Because I think it's an issue, but I'm curious from your perspective, like what are men doing? Like are men do we have like juice, or is it like in the most part you see like a lot of just like numbness and just like coasting and all that?
It's interesting because I would say it's a bit of an evolution. I would say the difference between 20 years ago and today even is there's been a big shift, especially you talk about in the Jewish community. There used to be a lot of like, I'm just going with what society, what community tells me I have to be, and there's a lot of shame and hiding and putting yourself behind the community's expectations of you and not really finding yourself. And there was a lot of that in the beginning when I first started working, and that was challenging in and of itself. But I would say, believe it or not, nowadays we're seeing a lot more of emerging confidence in people doing something different. Community has grown so far, and the world has changed. And there are people of all walks of life that are just, there's so much opportunity out there, and there's so much like connection of what you can find these days that like you could go online and find something, and all of a sudden you're learning about something you never thought you could learn about. And there are other people like me who are into this, like it's and it's really changed the scope of accessibility for people to find things that they're more connecting to without them having to sacrifice their standing in community. And I think it's giving people a little more confidence and ability to push forward. And I think some of the challenges that I'm seeing in my practice is some of them are going beyond. They're just too connected, too out there, too many things that are influencing, too much lack of, like I have a number of clients that are flying in different countries, different places, always somewhere else. If not for Zoom, they would never have consistent therapy. And like, in a way they need to come back a little bit. It's like a story. I remember, Shlomo Buxbaum had put us both on his podcast. I told him the same story. I said that when I was younger, I had a chance to do a lot of backpacking, and I got to see a lot of America and then a lot of Europe and a lot of the world. And, when I'll repeat the story, I guess. So when there was an older man in Miami that when I was studying there, he told us that when I think it was Yaakov Kamenetsky had come to visit, I think that was the story. And he said to him, I want to see the parrot jungle. Can you take me to see the parrot jungle?
Right.
And he said, the parrot jungle. I mean, you're a rabbi. You got stuff to do. Like he's like, no, God put this in the world, and I think it's my expectation to see it. And he got this original thought from a Samson Hirsch, who had gone to visit the Alps. And they had said to him, he said, you were by my Alps, you didn't come to look at it.
Right.
I created this beautiful world. God's going to say to him, you were there, you didn't look. So,
Right.
and they always would say to me, I figured, they say, Sirote, you saw the Alps, you saw the parrot jungle, you saw everything. Like, open a book. Come on, like, look at something, right? Like, stop running everywhere and seeing everything else, right?
Right.
I do feel that you are right that there is some of this for some people, but there's a lot going on in the world today that people have so much opportunity that they're also not so grounded. So
that's really really insightful for me, because I'm thinking about the journey of connecting to the soul, right? Your soul, you're a unique soul, and how like there is like kind of like an unrestrained part of it, meaning like if you don't believe that you have a soul, you don't believe that there's any value in digging in it, and you're completely like asleep to it, so then you're not gonna do anything with your soul. You're gonna live life passively, right? But then there's kind of, because I remember I had this phase a little bit where it's like I could do anything. I could do whatever I want, right? And it was like the first, actually, I remember that it was the first like time that I really started to feel confident about just living life. I was already down here, but I think I was down here for like a couple years already. And I think it might have had to do with, well, this was before, but I know that I had to take statistics when I went back to school. And I sucked at math my whole life. And meanwhile, I'm sitting here like I'm doing okay. I'm getting by. I'm not any worse than anyone else. Maybe I have to like study extra. I don't know. But like I had this like moment where I was like, hang on a second. If I could do math, then maybe I could do anything. And I started like just exploring, and I had to make myself a rule because I was doing too many things. I was experimenting with too many things. I made myself a rule. Yeah, because at one point I was looking at this when this is when I realized it. I was like looking up how to do a Rubik's Cube really fast.
okay.
And I was like, very cool, very exciting. Maybe not for now.
Well, yeah, you'll find there may be people that's their calling, and that's really going to proliferate.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, I got some clarity in that moment. Like, this is coming from a good part of me, but it's not where I need to put my energies right now. Like maybe a different day or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
and that's when I moved.
And that's what we always talk about. Like when we talk about in therapy, we talk about in developmental. Like it's about balance. It's about balance is such an important word and such an important element to leading a healthy lifestyle, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, socially. It's always balance. So you need to have the pull that says to you, let's not squash the soul totally and just say don't explore, but you can't also be so unbridled and so exploring that you just have nothing left.
Right.
You need to find balance, and balance is key, but it's important to balance, which means you can't ignore, and you can't go this way too much or do that way too much. And my father, who's also a brilliant psychoanalyst, published in international journals. He's, aside from being an amazing father, so he always talks about, when a child lies for the first time.
Okay.
And he says, the parents freak out and they're like, whoa, the kid just lied straight to our face.
Right.
And he's like, you don't realize what a developmental stage that is. It means the child realizes that they have control. They can do something. They can do something unique. They're not just what the parent wants them to be anymore. They can do something different than what they're expected to be. And he says it's not a great habit to get into, like all this balance, but it does talk about how the power of a human being to discover that they're unique or different than what they've been told the whole life they have to be.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah. And I think it makes sense that, well, first of all, I love that insight, that perspective on a kid lying. That's so awesome. I think that, and I think that like when you start to realize that you have power, right? Like it's like, how do I use this? And maybe that's where some of the people who are going kind of like too deep into this stuff, like they don't know how to channel it into like, what's my space? Like, what's my area, right? What do I leave behind, right? Like, and leaving behind, because I realized this with the Rubik's Cube, is like leaving behind doesn't mean that my instinct was bad. And it doesn't mean that I'll never get back to it. It's just like my soul wants a lot of stuff, and I want to give it its top three, Christmas gifts. When I make a lot of money, you could have all of the gifts, but like
Right, exactly.
Hanukkah gifts, whatever,
No, but it's really true, and it goes back to our conversation earlier about taking a day off to go out into the wilderness,
right?
or taking a day off from the wilderness to go to work, and that's it's a tough call. It's like that famous line, a bad day fishing is always better than a good day at work, right? So like,
Right.
what's really the truth? What's
Well,
really
and
wrong?
yeah, and I tell this as this is my origin story with improv. I tell it all the time, so some people have heard it too many times, but I started improv because I took a day off of work.
There we go.
And I was like, I was like, I'm taking a day off this Thursday, and I'm like, I'm going to spend a day by myself. Something I started doing a few years ago, and I've been on some cool adventures, and
Thursdays
I
are my
actually went.
day. If you're really Thursdays,
That's right.
we realign. That's
That's
my
right.
day for free.
That's right. That's right.
Not free, but
And
I'm catching up on life
yeah,
on my own.
yeah. I took the day off, and it was kind of like, now thinking about it in the context of our conversation, it was kind of like I let my soul like touch the keys and figure out what we're gonna do with this day off, because I went for the things that I know. I first started looking up the things I normally look up, right? Like maybe there's something like I could do on the water, or maybe there's like a music, maybe there's like a concert or something that I could go to, right? And then I don't remember how it hit me, but I was like, you know what? They say there's improv classes. Like maybe there's one of those. And I actually got really lucky, or whatever you want to call it, that there was an improv class once a week at the time, that was Thursday nights. And I
Thursday.
was like, yeah. And I was like, all right. I looked into it a little bit. It was like $25 or something like that. I was like, I got nothing to lose. I went to this community center. There's a bunch of weirdos doing improv, and I was like, these are my
Weirdo.
people.
Here
This
we
is my
go.
place. Oh, super weird. Everybody is the weirdest people in the world. And I was like, you guys are awesome. And I started going there every week, and and then I started going twice a week, and I did performances with them, and I actually saw them last night. They have an open mic once a month, and I go back just to kind of be like, y'all are my family. This is my home,
Which is so beautiful.
and yeah. And it was like, I took a day off, and like my soul kind of was like pointing like, over here.
Can I ask you a tough question that you might not be able to?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just thinking while we're doing this, because why not? We're just talking.
Love
No one else
Yeah.
knows about this conversation.
It's confidential.
What do you think? What part of you do you think gave you the ability to be able to go to that improv class, to find it, to go to it, to seek it out, and to be able to embrace it in your life, and not just to run away from it? Why were you gifted, so to speak, with this ability? Where did it come from? I said it was a tough question.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. That sigh was let me gather my thoughts here.
Right.
So I'm going to start like this. A part of it is narcissism. Okay. And and when I say
Sign me up, baby, right in there.
a part of it is narcissism, and I have to clarify this all the time now, because narcissism.
I think we're good. That cleared it up. Thank you so much for answering. Thank you. Have a good night. That's the end of our show.
Oh man. Yep. That's it. That's the whole thing. Narcissism from like a psychoanalytic perspective is there's beliefs that we have about ourselves as being the center of the world, and that we have certain, let's say, entitlements in the world that are they're somewhat delusional, and we're supposed to grow out of them, but then we sort of are supposed to integrate certain narcissisms, meaning to say that like we should have some like irrational belief that we could do something that we have no reason to really believe we could do. Does that make sense? Like, so Heinz Kohad writes about this. He writes about Winston Churchill having a narcissism that made him believe that he could end World War II. And that Winston Churchill wrote in his autobiography about he was playing a game when he was a kid, like some sort of like, capture the flag kind of game, and he was running across a little bridge, and he got trapped on both sides, and he saw a tree that was like right off the bridge, and he thought, I could jump on that tree, I'll shimmy down it, and I'll get away. He jumped and he fell on his head, and he woke up 3 weeks later in the hospital. Yeah, and he like literally almost died. And so Heinz Kohut writes that he had a narcissism, which then he actually integrated, which when he walked into a room of world leaders, he was like, I'm the guy that's going to be able to end this war, right?
Why not?
I can do it, right? So I think that there was a certain amount of narcissism that like I could go into a room full of improvisers without having ever taken a formal improv class, and I'll be great at it. That's a part of it. So I think that kind of like pushed me to like not be like too nervous to go ahead and do it, or be like, it's a stupid idea. I was kind of like, yeah, I'm the man, let's do this. What I learned over time in improv was you could be the man all you want, but you won't be a good improviser. And that was such a lesson for me. It was so deep,
that's
deep.
Balance, right? You come in first thinking you got it, and then So that's interesting though, because that's what I'm trying to understand. Like, what is it about you, about me, right? Why, where does it come from that we have the ability and are willing to take that risk and interest in going and doing that? Like, there's something unique that's and if you're trying to guide other people to do it, right? So why is there, like, what drives someone to be willing to get out of their box, to get into a place where they're able to reach beyond what they think is what they're supposed to be reaching? And that's an important component. Like, why were you able to do that? What is unique about Juda Alcabes that says, I could be an improv therapist and I don't have to worry about going for it?
Right.
So there's that narcissist piece, but there's also
So and I think there's a narcissist piece, and like as you're talking, I was like, wait a minute, Yossi's also a narcissist. So like,
So that's how I'm thinking to myself. I'm like, wait a minute, why are we only talking about Judah? What about me? I'm the narcissist too. So like, why can't we talk about what drives me to do this? So I'm trying to think like, okay, what is it about Sirote that makes him? But I think for me, and maybe it's for you too, I think it's born out of need.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I was going to say, additionally to the narcissism, is that I think our soul knows, and I think our soul is yearning for certain things, and then there are interferences that get in the way, and sometimes it can be the really unhealthy narcissism, like I was talking about 10 years ago, being like, everybody should view me as unique. Like that was getting in the way of my soul, right?
Yes, it's Rosh Hashanah, right? They talk about going to Uman for Rosh Hashanah, and they're all manias are the things that hold you back from getting to the Rosh Hashanah experience.
Right.
It's the same thing. There's this weird balance between being narcissist where you believe in yourself enough that you think you're capable of handling some extraordinary type of experience and training or path in life, but at the same time, the reason why most people would hesitate and say, okay, slow down, this is very challenging, is because there's so much more of a drive inside of you that says, I'm unhappy if I don't go there.
Yeah.
It's like, we used to, he's thinking about the crazy things we did. So I had a chavrusa in Chavetz Chaim in Forest Hills, back when it was the original hills. And, Chaim Yosef Ackerman and I, so we used to burn cedar in a can in the back of the basement. Like, it was crazy. Like, but I would go out because I wanted to. He would bring. He was married, I think, at the time. He had a little kid, so he had these formula cans that were empty, these little metal tin cans. So we would go into the front of the yeshiva building, and we would take off the dead cedar branches, put them in the can, bring them into the base medrash where there was I don't know how many people learning, and in the back, while we were learning, we would light them on fire and put them in the can and let them burn around our table. Like, you got to be nuts to do these kind of things. But there's this balance between being crazy and like, I couldn't just sit and learn. I had to do something here. I had to be like, unique. And I think that it's born out of the fact that there's this combination between this desperate need for you to be doing something different in order to fill your soul, and a belief system that you can really hack it and make it through. And I think the narcissism, we're just talking. I didn't think about this more than now. But I think that the narcissism may be a way of coping with the fact that this is scary. Because it's like, hey man, it's like, like I desperately need to do something weird and different and unique to what the community and society tells me.
Right.
I have to convince myself that it's because I'm so cool and so amazing and so beyond. It might be that
Right.
might be what's driving some of it. It's like, okay, so it's gonna, and then it does feed you, because when you do
Right.
it, you feel so cool and so different and so unique about yourself. So there is a feedback there. And it's interesting, but I'm just
No, it's great.
wondering how
Yeah.
we get to be these kinds of strange people. And I think
Right.
it's important to look at it that way.
Right, right. I think it's interesting. I mean, I do think that there's a certain like bucket of souls that, you know, have the ingredients of like whatever you want to call it, like I don't know, go getters or whatever. And it's not that anyone's better than anyone else, because like everybody's got their world and they should maximize your own world kind of thing. But I don't know. I mean, life experiences, this, that, whatever. But I know for myself that like, because this is going to come from more of the darkness part of things, is that the lacking of really feeling like connected to my soul from when, you know, during my childhood and, you know, being the Shiva system and all that kind of stuff made it that anytime I got a little dust from the like soul part, I was like, whoa, 1 second, I'm going to chase this one. Right. And I often say that, I was a good guitarist when I was like 18, 19, 20 in Israel. But I didn't know how to use it. Like I used to try to like pick up girls with like playing guitar, and then it didn't work. I was so bad at it, and but I was good
Could have
enough.
seen those years. That would have been fun to watch.
It was terrible. I was terrible. Every time I tried to pick up a girl, they would end up laughing and then saying, "What's your friend's deal? He's cute."
Oh gosh, they should have said try improv.
That's right. That's right. But I realized, I believe that it was a gift that God gave me to not know how to use it for that type of purpose, for like fame and popularity and picking up girls and that kind of stuff. Because I would have been in a ditch. I would have been in I mean, like if I was getting crowds that loved me, but the thing is that I was good enough to do it, like technically, and I knew it, and I was always confused by it, because I'm like, I don't understand. Like I could be famous, I could be amazing. Why am I not? And it was really because of the way that I was like presenting it to people, and that I was relating to it internally, but it wasn't a technical thing. And so like God was like, I'm giving you these skills, but like you're not going to use them to like be out in public yet, because that will destroy you, man. Right. But like I felt, anytime I felt some sort of like soul connection, because I felt so little of it throughout my childhood, you know, at home and in yeshiva and all that kind of stuff, that I'd be like, I'm going to chase it. And I think then God kind of protected me, where he's like, you're not chasing this one. Right. You're just wait. Right.
And it's
Um,
interesting because,
yeah.
like, going back to what we were talking about before, it's making me think. Like literally, this summer was the first time that just for 4 weeks we did Wilderness, and then we did 2 weeks of this workshop program,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been so differently received than the Wilderness. The Wilderness is like, okay, weirdos who want to be in the wilderness, fine, come to our camp. And then some people are deeper and appreciate what it could do for their children or for their kids, their students. So they're like, okay, I think Yallozu makes a lot of sense for those kinds of, you know, campers or that kind of kid. But when you talk about workshops, it's like packaged by normalcy, where there's
Right.
there's this auto mechanics. You learn to be a chaverim. You know, you can learn all the things, car lockouts, changing tires, plugging tires, boosting cars that are dead. And then you learn culinary, art, guitar, robotics, lifeguarding. So all this stuff that's like, and then my brain is thinking to myself, and then the kids, soaked it up. The parents were so excited. And then we told about it. We didn't even advertise. And this year we're planning to spread the word more. But then I'm thinking to myself, we should do this all year round in all the schools that aren't doing it. Some schools, they do have a lot of these things.
Right.
And some camps have a lot of these things, but there are many that don't. And I'm like,
Right.
let's bring this to the world so that people
Yeah.
could like find what's going to make them, tap into this like unique ability of who they can become.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting. It's like, it's really like, we talk about you trying to play guitar for the right reasons. People get so caught up in the reasons why we're not, or we are, or we like, it's just do something different, do something unique. And I it's funny to me that we're having the same conversation that I had with Shlomo Buxbaum, because he was the one who put us, we had both been on this thing. on his podcast, and that conversation ended up also going into getting out of the box, doing things that are unique.
Right.
It's different than what we're talking about, but it's interesting to me to feel that here I am on a podcast again and talking about the same type of stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe this is a part of me. Maybe this is like a calling or something. Maybe I have to
Yeah.
do more improv or something.
Well, for sure, you have to do more improv. But I no, but well, because I think it's like I do think it's really, really important. I think that this message is I think it's underutilized, meaning like people don't get this presented to them that often, right? Because a lot of the mental health world is about symptom management and decreasing symptoms, right? Oh, I have anxiety. I want to get rid of
I
the
talk
anxiety,
about
right?
you're in Florida. What's his name? Ari Schwartzman,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
he has a whole
I thought that.
perspective on all of this, right? What's his
Right,
perspective? Stop medicating with SSRIs. Stop
right,
masking who the person is. Let all their stuff come out, even if it's uncomfortable, right? Even if it's stuff
right,
that's really difficult for them and the world around them to handle, and then deal with that and work with it. Celebrate it.
right,
Don't squash it. It's like,
right.
I have one of my kids went to we were going to send them. We sent one of them to a high school that was, it didn't work out so well. We switched to a different high school, and then another child we sent to that high school. I'm not going to give details because it's a public forum, but at one point someone said to me,
Because it's
"What's the
L. Because it's L.
because it's L." All right, so we'll
Yeah.
talk after Yom Kippur again.
Right, right.
That's what you say, right? So no, but so someone said to me, "It's like, what's the difference between the high school that you sent and the high school you didn't send? Like, why would
Right.
you do that? Why make it difficult for your kids?" And I said, honestly, the one thing that I see more than anything else, the children and the students in the high school that we were originally going, uncomfortable with, we watched them get squashed. You
Yep.
could see it on the faces of the students. They're just being squished and squished and squished into being not who they are. And
Yeah.
the educators and the people that are trying to run the school are not confident and comfortable to let them be who they are. So they institute more rules and more rules because they're so
Right.
afraid. It comes from fear. It really does.
Right.
Most schools that have very strict rules is because they're scared of what's going to happen and how they're going to look. And then the other school that we sent to, they were willing to celebrate who they were and guide them and encourage them to just blossom. And I
Yeah.
said, that is the difference. And honestly, to me, that's probably the most important thing in the world. So why would I send
100%.
my kid, even if it's more difficult, to this one? I'm sending to that one. And it's
Right.
it's a scary reality, but it's I don't even know how we got to this, but yes, but it's important.
Yes, 100%. What you were saying, I've talked to Ari many times about
Ari,
this.
right? We're doing Ari.
Yeah, and we agree up until a point.
Oh yeah,
And
that's always with everybody.
oh yeah. No, but it's an interesting right. It's an interesting like
and this is a guy who followed his passion, right?
right,
The guy who's living it. So yeah, he's way past any of us.
right.
Much more improv than I'm ever going to be, and I am much more wilderness than you're ever going to be. So
That's true.
he is much more him than he's ever going to be.
Right,
That's
right.
okay.
Right, 100%. And we have great discussions about this. Part of the part where we kind of diverge a little bit is in terms of like the open it up and like make it free kind of thing. Like you open yourself up and go all out, right? I don't know if this is just a personal experience. I know there are people who are like me in this. I don't know if this applies to everybody, but I have done that, and I did that many times before I started doing improv. And it was too much. And then A, I retreated, and B, I was actually not really aligned with my soul because I was trying to like force something by being so out,
So
unbridled, right?
We're back to balance, right? It's the same thing.
Right.
When I was at Fordham, so I had many years ago before dinosaurs were invented, right? So I graduated, I think, in 2001 from Fordham. So, but I had opportunity there to lecture on spirituality versus religion and what it means and how to look at them. And it's really the same thing. It's the same core. It's this balance, right? If you have too much religion, too fundamentalist, everything is just rules. You're not gonna be anything. And if you have too much spirituality, you're floating. You're just totally like, whatever comes today, I'll see tomorrow. Who knows? Should I wake up today? Should I not? Then also not good, right? So you need that blend between.
Right.
If we get out of this, we're getting into the Jewish piece, but there's definitely That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be that blend between the right balance of spirituality and the right balance of religion, so that you can
Right.
have this amazing, life altering and life directive that's going to help you get through it and move forward. And it's all about that balance.
100%. So I wanted to ask you about this on the topic of religion, right?
Oh boy,
So,
what door did I just open, baby?
Oh boy. Oh boy. Maybe this isn't such a controversial question.
That's why
I really
I'm not afraid of controversial questions.
no. I know you're not. I know you're not. Um, it's more advice. Like, this is confidential space, right? Like, no,
Just me and you. You said you weren't recording
right.
yet, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So I'll start recording soon. So um, I'll give you a very brief like intro to it, and then I'll ask my question here. So
Can I just point something out because I'm weird? I hate
yeah,
this to you. When I said we're not recording, this is
Yeah.
what I do. I'm just like a weird guy sometimes. I said, "Oh, we're not recording yet," right? And then I said, knowing that we are recording, obviously we've been
Right.
recording for an hour. Unconsciously, I fixed my collar here and I fixed my collar here. Isn't that wild? It's like
You're saying because you remembered that we were recording?
yeah. Once in my brain, we start thinking even for a second more. Obviously, I know we're recording, but
Yes.
the idea that like I said to you out loud, "Oh, we're recording," made me focus on it. So then automatically, I'm like, "Oh, I got to fix my collar, make sure that I'm straight." It's just human beings are fascinating. It's
No, it's crazy,
one thing.
right?
Okay,
And that's why.
go back.
No, because I got to say this, and then I'm going to come back to our point. Because I think you'll really appreciate this. I was defending my dissertation 2 weeks ago, and 6 years.
Alcabes.
Doctor. Oh my God, crazy, right? 6 years I'm working on it, and the presentation of my dissertation, the defense, is not something that actually made me nervous, because I present all the time. I'm on stage like several nights a week now. It's not a big deal to me, and so no part of me was nervous about the presentation. And so in my mind, I was kind of like, it's a PowerPoint, whatever. So it's a 30-minute presentation. At minute 27, I thought about the fact that I was defending my dissertation, and my brain glitched, and I stopped talking in the middle of a sentence.
What happened?
And it probably was like a second, but like in my mind, it was like they were like, "Hey, what? Okay? What happened?"
Did you freeze? Could you imagine if you had the option to freeze before there was Zoom, or like before there was media? It's like in real life, you could say,
Yeah.
"Did you freeze?" That would be
Right,
so cool.
right.
Oh yeah, I just froze for a minute. I'm good. We're back.
Right. I just froze for a minute. But it was like I became aware of the moment again, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is what this is. This is not what." Okay. Anyways, so
We're talking about religion.
yes, there's been significant changes in the world of chinuch and teaching kids and all that kind of stuff, and there's a long way to go, and blah blah blah. My generation. So my generation came from a education system which everyone agrees needed to be changed, because everyone says how great it is that we've changed it, right? So now everyone says we've changed it, and my generation was part of the old system, and there was an even older system where, like, if you got hit twice, then you were happy that it meant that the Rebbe cared about you, he paid attention to you. So for my generation, I find, again, this is like anecdotally, and this is my opinion, but I find that a lot of us are not interested in like going to shul, and not interested in like hearing a drasha and things like that. Some people want to shut that down and say like, "Oh, that's just your trauma talking," and da 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 da, which is always a good thing to say to somebody who has trauma, is that's just your trauma talking, right?
That's great.
You recommend that, right?
Remind people that they have that in them.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I think that I think there have been very good movements with, like, davening, having more singing for some people, and thank you Hashem and all that kind of stuff, right? But this time, what?
The whole Uman movement, that's a big
The
part
whole
of it.
Uman movement, right?
It's Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur trauma. I mean, that's what it is. It's really
Right.
It's
So this is what I wanted to ask you, and I'm asking this for myself. Right. I'm asking you this for myself. For the ones of us who are still just going to a regular shul, right? And like maybe we're not angry enough that we ditched the whole thing. We're bringing our kids to shul with their chauffeur project that they made.
Right.
Like, what do you think is like a good way of approaching these holidays, not from like the extreme trauma perspective, but kind of from the like, you guys made me do this for so many years. You agreed that it was wrong, but y'all aren't going to change anything about that. So, like, how do we sit there for all those hours? And I
So
don't know. Maybe my
interesting.
question is,
I had an interesting experience when I turned 40, which was about 50 years ago.
right,
With
right.
My
In
wife,
Tibet, right? You were in Tibet then?
right? So my wife, was an amazing individual. So she, in her brilliant insight, said, "You're 40. Jews learn Kabbalah when they turn 40. I want you to go to Uman for Rosh Hashanah as your 40th birthday gift."
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
part of it was that I always wanted to see it. I also have a number of clients that have been going, and there's a very, very powerful, reality. And again, I'm talking about something I talked about with Shlomo, but it's that experience was life changing in a big way for me. But and it really opened up my eyes to the amazing opportunity for tshuva that's going on there, and the full radical Marshall Linehan radical acceptance that Reb Nachman really gave to the rest of the world, and was able to, that brilliant, like, you whoever you are is totally fine. It's a beautiful place to be for Rosh Hashanah. Let's put it that way, because Rosh Hashanah, a time when we're really trying to start fresh and be accepted for who we are, to be in an environment like that with 70,000 people, was before COVID. That's how old I am, right? 70,000 people
Before the war.
It's like really, really, a very special, unique place. And honestly, I grew up and it was great for me. But I grew up with a beautiful Rosh Hashanah davening that I connected to. I spent many years in Yeshiva Shara Torah, not in the yeshiva, but davening there on. I was the Chavetz Chaim guy that davened in Shara Torah with his father.
Sure, yeah.
Right. We had Rabbi Levi Roberts and Skolnick. They were a beautiful, beautiful Bali Tefillah, and it was yeshiva. And I was one of those guys who deeply connected and was on fire and out loud and in quiet and all that. And it's beautiful. And to this day, I still can connect to davening in a certain way that way. But there were added elements to my journey that wasn't enough. Like, I think I still have that title of the only Chavetz Chaim Musmach that spent a Rosh Hashanah in Uman. I don't think there's another one out there. If there is, let me know. Right?
Yeah.
But because there's something special about both experiences. There's an experience of the traditional, let's do it regular, let's get into regular life, and what our current society or past society is still promoting and telling us we have to do, and be in shul and Rosh Hashanah with our kid doing what we're supposed to be doing. And then there's this new movement of the Thank You Hashem, Reb Nachman, all that stuff that's going on in the Jewish world that's also very exciting and powerful, and perhaps a bigger trend than, starting maybe with the whole Neo Hasidus and Reb Moshe Weinberger, or wherever this came from. But like, there's both out there. And I have to say that when you say, well, what should I do as a parent and as a guy who's suffering or not excited, it's really all about you. It's about, and clients have this all the time. They're like, oh God, Rosh Hashanah, what am I going to do Rosh Hashanah? Right. Like, where are we going this year? What am I doing? How am I going to daven? So it's about finding what rings true for you, finding what you as an individual can get the most out of that experience, and not being afraid to follow it, to find it, and then to celebrate it. It's the same thing that we've been talking about. It's
right. I'm thinking I should do improv during davening. That was what came to my head.
Okay, but that's what it is. It's like
improv Yom Kippur. They act out all of our sins.
You ever see those psychodrama, workshops where people do? Oh gosh, this guy Bob Soroka, I think, used to do it back in an office I had in Manhattan. So there's but you could find, like, imagine improv at Rosh Hashanah, right? So for a long time I couldn't sit still, and I used to run a beginner service in the back of the regular shul on Rosh Hashanah.
Right.
So like there's some place in society to find something that works, and then maybe not. Sometimes it's more difficult to find it. But I think that the first step is just to figure out what works for you. What is you? What does Rosh Hashanah mean to you? What is your Rosh Hashanah? What does your Rosh Hashanah look like? Should you be trying to go to the regular, minyan that you don't connect to? Should you try to go to a different type of an experience, like an Uman type of experience? Can you find something inside your community that will give you space to be who you can be on Rosh Hashanah? Do you have to go to the Vasikan Minyan and be done by 11 o'clock? But then, whatever. There's so many formats nowadays for Rosh Hashanah. Even in Uman, when I went to Uman, there's the 90% of the people that are these stark, like people who are coming from Eretz Yisrael that are hardcore Vasikan types, and they're getting up early, and and then there's 10% of other people that are just kind of searching and looking for something new and different, connecting that way. There's Nakuda Taiba, where they have all the beautiful songs, and then there's the people who are just with davening, getting to feel. There's so thank God in 2020. I'm talking way too much. Thank God in 2025 we have so many options of tefillah, of Judaism, of religious observance, so many potential different types of opportunities that we can tap into, that I feel like most people can find something that works. But yeah, we still have to show up and and we still have to go to shul. Maybe not. We can debate that another time, right?
Yeah.
If our society tells us we have to go to a shul that we don't want to go to, right? So who's really telling us that we have to be there? Right? It's like, why are you going? Are you really doing it because you think it's best for you and your children, or are you doing it because you think you have to?
Right.
Like, to me, it's like, so find something that works. Find something that works better. It might not be perfect, but find something. And if you can't find it, okay, so that's fine. Then you don't do it, or you do it, whatever. You do it reluctantly. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
No, I think so. I think I probably asked too much of a loaded question for at 1 hour and 16 minutes into the podcast, but it was something that I had on my mind to ask you. So let me I want to come back all the way to the beginning, because we teased it in the beginning. You talked about digging plants out of the ground.
I forgot about that.
So I'm going to put up a picture.
Oh no, you have a picture?
Well, I don't have it now. I'm going to put it up in post.
Okay.
But I have a picture of you digging in the sidewalk and at a crack. Yeah.
What? If we're allowed to add pictures, can I add my own pictures to this?
Absolutely. Send it over, and send it over. I will add it in.
I had a picture of you recently. I sent it to you.
I will absolutely. Yes.
Oh boy. Yes. So you got a picture.
So we used to walk. We used to go to lunch sometimes, and we used to walk. Ocean Parkway, and it was in Brooklyn. It was cold, and it was concrete jungle over there. And then you would find in the cracks little things coming out that to you made you indicate that you should eat it.
Yeah.
And then you would be like, eat it. It's going to taste like mustard. Eat it. It's going to taste like a marshmallow. This is nature's marshmallows.
Correct. And onions. We had some wild onions there also.
And as I'm thinking, you pull an onion out of the ground because you saw it in someone's lawn that was overgrown. I kind of get where your family and friends were coming from with the Mishpacha article, though.
Wait, so is there a question connected to this, or this is just you reminiscing?
This is me reminiscing about literally you stopping on the way to...
So it's interesting, because one of the things about God's world is that as much as, and this happens all the time, in Dora Golding, which is the mother camp, so to speak, of Yalozers in the Woods, behind Dora Golding, as part of the umbrella organization of Dora Golding. So there's often been development, and they knock down like trees and grass, and they open new fields, and me and the guys in my program often are crying, because like, oh my gosh, there's not going to be any, there's no more red sumac to make lemonade with, because they just knocked down the only sumac bush that they had. Or where did the monarch butterflies are not going to be able to eat the milkweed? Like, they're going to all leave camp because you just mowed the whole thing. Like, what are you thinking? And every time they mow another part, and they made the go-kart track, and they wiped out a whole forest. But then the sun comes out and something else grows. You can't beat it. When I was a kid, we had to do Call of the Wild, I think was the book.
Sure.
Man versus conflict, man versus man, man versus self, man versus nature, one of those. So man versus nature, right? You try to fight nature. And I had a student that once, gave me a fascinating book about someone who gave himself up in the end of his life to a tree. It's a whole story. We'll talk about it another time. But we won't talk about that another time, actually. That was the end of that. But anyways, I'm losing myself here. I think my limit is 45 minutes. Like, I'm used to those sessions. To unravel.
Yeah.
But
that's right.
But honestly, really, what's beautiful about HaKadosh Baruch Hu's world and God's world is that you can't get rid of it. Even if you take an entire community like Brooklyn and you lay cement over the whole place, and you just totally destroy any remnant of the natural world, through the cracks, something's going to pop up. My son was just telling me that he was at Lot 27 here in Highland Park, New Jersey.
Mhm.
And he said he was in the parking lot. And I guess I trained him well. So he was looking at the plants that were lining the edges of the parking lot. He says there were 5 watermelons growing in the corner of the parking lot. Little tiny watermelons that started to grow.
And nobody knew about it? It just was like...
It's wild. It was wild. So what happened? Someone dropped a watermelon probably over there in the years of this, and the seeds just started to grow. You know, the guys in Yellow Zoo, they go on a 7-day, on the 10th grade, when they're on the highest level of wilderness, they go on a 7-day hike where they end up with a beautiful Shabbos. They found a peach tree growing by a fire tower. Like,
That's awesome.
It's someone dropped the peach. It wasn't natural, normal, but that's what it is. It's like you can't beat it. So even in the wilds of Flatbush, when we're walking down McDonald Avenue and Ocean Parkway and all those areas, there's going to be something to find. Something's going to fight to get out of that crack and to come in and grow an onion or a garlic mustard or whatever it is that's going to grow out there. And I got to tell you, it's a lot about what we're talking about today, my friend.
Yes.
You could take concrete and cover up the souls and try to bury everything and try to wipe it all out. But that crack is all you need for a little seed to just start to blossom and to grow and to come on out. And who knows what's going to come out of that.
That's awesome.
Very
That's
simple,
awesome.
our conversation.
We just tied that all together. We just tied that. Like, look at that whole wrap on that. Yeah. See, this was so fun. I'm like, I don't know why. Like, I guess I don't know. Maybe I'll make more podcasts and I'll like bring you on so we could like stay in touch. You know, I'll make like a whole bunch of podcasts and I'll be like, Yossi, we got to get an episode in.
Fair enough. You know, it's hard to find time, but podcasts, for some reason, we find time for these days.
We make it happen. This was so awesome. Thanks so much for...
It was very nice coming on here. It was so nice connecting to you. So nice reconnecting. And hopefully we can do this without a podcast.